house to carry out the residence.
Local communities are not only vital to the growth of society, but they also form the bedrock of humanitarian development.
Be mindful of how we use social media. It's not just about the platforms themselves.
To the preservation of the national unity and democratic stability.
Water is life, water is an essential service. Then we must have to carry out the residence.
Local communities are not only vital to the growth of society, but they also form the bedrock of humanitarian development.
Be mindful of how we use social media. It's not just about the platforms themselves.
To the preservation of the national unity and democratic stability.
Water is life, water is an essential service. Then we must have to carry out the residence.
Local communities are not only vital to the growth of society, but they also form the bedrock of humanitarian development.
Be mindful of how we use social media. It's not just about the platforms themselves.
To the preservation of the national unity and democratic stability.
Water is life, water is an essential service. Then we must have to carry out the residence.
Local communities are not only vital to the growth of society, but they also...
Hello and welcome to The Reporter. The Reporter is a news and current affairs program that goes beyond the headlines, bringing reporters from the field to give first-hand accounts and in-depth analysis of unfolding issues, correspondence perspective, ensuring balanced, credible, and comprehensive storytelling. Welcome once again. I am Aniete Patrick. It's good to have you on the program today. Well, there was a heated debate in the House of Representatives as lawmakers tackled the lingering non-payment of local contractors and the slow implementation of the 2024 to 2025 budget. The issue raised as a matter of urgent public importance by Minority Leader Kingsley Chinda and seconded by the Chairman, Rules and Business, Francis Waife, dominated plenary, culminating in a 7-day ultimatum to the executive. Well, that story played around because the House was supposed to have the 7-day ultimatum, but the House later resolved to have the issue looked at the executive level and reconvened at plenary today to talk about the issues and the way forward. Meanwhile, in other developments, the indigenous contractors across Nigeria have taken to the streets of Abuja to protest the non-payment of funds owed to them by the federal government. Ramsey Enoch Abo has the details of the story.
Members of the Indigenous Contractors Association of Nigeria staged a peaceful protest over the non-payment of monies owed to them for various government projects executed across the country. The chairman of the association expressed disappointment over the government's failed promise since 2024. He lamented that most of the contractors are in deep financial distress because of the loans taken to execute this contract.
The budget that Mr. President signed into law, the appropriation budget to 2024, all MDAs, ministry, agencies and all that we did job for, and they've commissioned most of these projects. And contractor that they've paid is not up to 15 or 20% as we speak. And most of us borrowed money, funds from different financial institutions, different banks. Even there are some of our friends that came from US, UK and all that, that has credit facilities in those countries. Now they can't even go back. Their integrity is eroded.
Some of the protesting contractors also spoke to Global TV News, narrating how the prolonged non-payment has affected their operations and livelihoods.
As soon as our payment we get our payment, what are we doing on the street? And we will continue to demand for our money. We have tried. One of our members yesterday was supposed to be in the protests. He was held in the police station all through because of the payment that he's supposed to make to his debtor. Up to now, we are still having issues. One of our members fainted yesterday while going back home because we could not get results. Now he's in the hospital. So we will continue being on the streets until the government hired us.
Another contractor said their staff have gone months without salaries. Therefore, many companies are on the verge of collapse.
Presently now, I've retrenched. I've been trying to pay for over 8 months. I've been paying my workers, borrowing money from different sources. But I've retrenched all my workers. At least I've retrenched about 6 of them. I have 8 workers. I just have 2 presently working for me. And by the end of this month, if we don't get our payment, most of them will still go.
The cry is coming as a result of the loan taken by some of these contractors who are unable to pay these loans because the federal government have not paid them. And they are now running helter-skelter to see that this money is being paid. Ramsey Enoch Agbo reporting for Global TV News.
And joining us now is our correspondent, Ramsey Enoch Agbo, to give us more on the report. As you can see, where he was on the field there to interact with the protesters, get a feeling to all that the problem was. Ramsey, it's good to have you join us on the program, The Reporter. How are you doing, Ramsey?
I'm fine. Thank you, Anita, for having me.
Always a pleasure for you to be on The Reporter. Let's quickly dive into this. Before the protests went to the streets today, we had this protest drama playing around from the National Assembly yesterday, and it also played out today, where the protesters went back to the street. Meanwhile, the parliamentarians have been putting heads together to see how this is resolved, with lawmakers issuing a 7-day ultimatum, which they initially had as a resolution over unpaid local contractors and the delayed budget implementation. What concrete assurances, if any, do you think the executive has given to address this mounting tensions so far?
Well, the way the situation is, you can see that the protesters didn't just hit the street, but they said, according to what they told us today, they said they spoke with some officials at the National Assembly and promises were made that they were going to be gotten back to, I think yesterday or today, and they didn't hear from them, so they needed to embark on that protest today, which is the second time they are coming out. And one of the things they said, the chairman said, is the fact that the authorities, most of the projects have already been commissioned, but the contractors have not been paid, and they are feeling bad about it.
Well,
that's the reason they all came out to protest today, and they said it's not as if the budget has not been passed.
Okay. Well, the truth is, this is something that I know the House of Representatives took some steps and had the Deputy Speaker meet with them, with the Finance Minister and also the Attorney General Federation to see how this can be resolved. And that conversation is still ongoing to see how this can take off the pain. Because as these indigenous contractors have shown their frustration by taking their protests to the streets of Abuja. And the government, how do you think this government is explaining this issue? Because it's prolonged and the payments, despite reported allocations in the 2025 and 2024 2025 budgets. What do you think would be the way forward? Because this is far too long and is dragging around the poverty line.
Well, the few protesters that spoke to us, we couldn't take all the reporters in the report. But then what they are clamoring for is how the monies can be paid. They were actually petered because a lot of them took loans to execute these government projects. And like one of them told us that a colleague of theirs is already in the hospital because they were not given the adequate attention. All right, he collapsed. The other person also had issue at the police station because the debtors were after them. We've also heard from some of the contractors how they've retrenched some of their staff because they couldn't pay them anymore.
Okay.
You know, all of these problems compounded together is part of the reason why they had to hit the streets today for that protest.
Okay.
And what they are only clamoring for is that the authorities, the federal government, should come to their aid and get these monies paid. The funds should be released, not just because of them alone, but because of their family members and people working under them and the threats they are getting from the people, the banks from where they took these loans.
Okay, well, Ramsey, thank you so much for bringing us up to speed on the development with the protest that took place at Abuja here, seeing the contractors expressing their worries and hoping that they get answers at the end of the day. Thank you so much, Ramsey.
Thank you very much, Anieti.
Meanwhile, the Kano state government has disbursed 5 billion naira as the 5th batch of gratuities and death benefits for retired civil servants and families of deceased workers. The payment was held at the government house, Kano State, where the governor personally supervised the exercise. Global TV's correspondent Idris Jibri was there and now tells us more.
Chaired by the Kano State Governor Abba Kabir Yusuf, the 33rd Executive Council meeting of the Kano State Government focuses on critical issues of governance affecting the state. After a series of presentations by commissioners of various ministries, the sum of 4.9 billion naira for the Ministry of Education was approved.
The breakdowns include 380,957,001 naira for settlement of outstanding liabilities due to the Board for Arabic and Islamic Studies enviers. 260,015,629,000 naira, 64 kobo for the purchase of 2 shops adjoining the Engineer Rabi Musa Concourse of Women's Skills Center.
To improve healthcare delivery across the state, the council equally approved the sum of 274.7 million naira for the renovation of various healthcare facilities across the state, while the sum of 3.3 billion naira has been approved for the project under the Ministry of Water Resources.
670,455,779 naira 12 kobo for payment of KECO electricity bills for the State Water Board covering 3 months. 1,772,800,000 for settlement of debt on diesel, AGO, and petrol fuels supplied for water treatment plants and the Water Board headquarters.
To enhance energy sustainability in Kano, the council approved the sum of over 900 million naira for the supply and installation of solar-powered street lights across the state.
139,528,317 naira 83 kobo for supply and installation of alternative solar power system at the Council Affairs Directorate. 840,361,675 naira 73 kobo for supply and installation of 150 kV solar powered backup system at Africa House, Government House.
Meanwhile, the commissioners say Kano State Governor Abba Kabir Yusuf has since directed all ministries affected to immediately commence work and ensure prudent management of government resources. From Kano, Idris Jubrin, Global Television News.
And joining us right now to give us more updates on this particular story is our correspondent, Idris Jibri, to give us more updates on what happened and how that particular event stood up for these gratuities. Idris, it's good to have you. How are you doing? How is Kano State?
Kano is fine, thank God.
All right, let's dive into this conversation. How significant is the Kano State government's 5 billion naira payments for retirees and families of deceased workers, and what's the impact that will be for those beneficiaries as told on this particular issue concerning their livelihood?
Well, thank you very much. Actually, you know, from the beginning of this administration, the Kano State Governor, Abba Kabir Yusuf, promised that all retirees who previously could not get their benefits, those who retired from service, and also those who died in the course of service, will all get their benefits. So gradually, the first batch took place, during which about 5 billion naira was paid, and then the second batch also took place, and this is the third batch in which the retirees and those who died in the course of service were getting their benefits. And it's actually very important for the Kano State government and, of course, the people of Kano State, because these are people who worked for the state government tirelessly for many, many years. And after retiring or after dying in the course of service could not get their benefits, and now their benefit is gradually coming out. And the governor is actually assuring the people of Kano State, all those who did not get their benefits, or those who are due for retirement, once they retire, definitely they are going to get their benefits. So it's actually very important for the state government and, of course, for the people.
Okay, so let's look at it. The governor himself actually supervised the disbursements at the government house. What concerns or expectations the retirees and affected families raise about the consistency and transparency of future payments?
Well, exactly. The governor spoke about that because having done the first, the second, and the third, this shows that there is going to be consistency in terms of this payment, because the money is already there, as the governor mentioned. The money is already there. It's just for the pension boards to sort out those who are due for payment, so that they will get their benefits. So the governor has assured that it's going to be consistent and it's going to be a continuous exercise going forward.
Well, we hope that these concerns will come forward and then we'll see more of this kind of gesture come out for people, because this looks very exciting and rewarding for people to get their gratitude at the end of the day, because it's one thing to work and that thing to get your payments to show reward of service.
We hope so. We hope so. And I'm sure it's going to continue, because the governor has already mentioned it. And even the executive secretary for the Kano State Pension Board also mentioned it. Even the Nigerian Labour Congress also mentioned it in their previous meeting with the governor, has assured them that this is going to be a continuous exercise, and all those misunderstandings will also be sorted out.
But you were there on ground. How was the feel like for the people that got these payments? How was the excitement like? Because you were there.
I was able to speak with some of them. They were actually happy, and in fact there are some who they were skeptical. You know, when they took their details and assured them that this payment will be made, and even when they called them to the government house to come and get their payment, they were skeptical. They think maybe it's not going to come.
I think it wasn't a reality.
So it became there, and then they started receiving their benefits.
So there was a whole lot of reality playing out for them. That's what it looks like.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Idris, for bringing us up to speed on this. We look forward to more of stories coming from you, and thank you. It's good to have you always.
All right.
Well, it was a busy night in the U.S. where Democrats are celebrating a series of victories in key elections, widely seen as bellwether referendums on Trump's second term as president. In the biggest and most widely publicized election of them all, New York elected its youngest mayor in a decade as Zoran Mamdani, self-styled as Trump's worst nightmare, won decisively. Edikan Michael, our international correspondent, was there and has more for us.
It was not the show President Donald Trump wanted to see. America's off-season election special starred Zoran Mamdani and the supporting cast counted a Democrat who won electoral contests across the country. Mamdani's victory places him as the first Muslim to hold the office of New York mayor. In his fiery acceptance speech, Mamdani is talking tough.
New York will remain a city of immigrants, a city built by immigrants, powered by immigrants, and as of tonight, led by an immigrant. So hear me, President Trump, when I say this. To get to any of us, you will have to get through all of us.
His victory feels big for him and his political movement. His left-wing politics and the promises on affordability chimed with a body of people who feel disenfranchised from politics, whatever the party. Mamdani hit on the formula that worked for Trump, albeit at the other end of the political spectrum. He focused relentlessly on the cost of living, affordability in unaffordable New York City, and a delivered populist appeal. He is the biggest beast in the party, now too big for the old guy to ignore. Edikan Michael reporting for Global TV News.
Well, joining us right now is our correspondent, Edikan Michael, to give us the details on what went down there at that particular spot. Edikan, it's good to have you join us on the Reporter. Hello, Edikan.
Good evening, good to have you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
well, there's a whole lot happening in the political space there, and you got us this report. How might the Democrats' string of election victories reshape the political landscape heading into Trump's potential second term?
Yeah, Mandami's coming back is a big one for Donald Trump presidency because he's actually talking opposite of what Donald Trump stands for in America. He, of course, prior to the election, Donald Trump had already said if Mandani wins the election that he will be releasing federal government fund to the New York City. Okay. And just hours ago, he has to tweet that it just began. And a lot of people are asking questions, what does Donald Trump tweet mean now that Mandani has actually won the election? So he moved away from just being a Democratic politics and Republican politics. It's more or less one who have actually described himself as President Trump's nightmare over and over again. So it's actually a turning point for the politics in America because what it shows there is that the voice.
Hello, Deacon, are you still there with us? Okay. Go ahead.
Was really against.
Okay. So with all of this playing out, what does the election of the New York's youngest mayor, Zoran Mandani, signal about voter sentiment and the future direction of U.S. politics? Well, because he's actually Trump's nightmare as described there.
The 34-year-old man coming to politics and not just coming to stand behind because obviously he has served in different portfolio in the United States. He has also been in the New York State Assembly. And now that he's actually the New York City mayor, he's actually signaling a great information, not just to the young people in America, but for the rest of the world, that young people can actually participate in politics. And of course, political parties as well also have responsibility in giving young persons opportunities, because if Mamdani was denied opportunities in the primaries, I doubt if he would have probably won the election. So it's really a good signal generally within the political space.
Well, I like the fact that this is coming up from the U.S. because that's seen as the world power. We're looking at a lot of things and how to build the political space across every part of the world, especially in Nigeria, for instance, because we have the not too young to run bill, which has actually brought in a lot of young people into governance. Well, with this coming up, it shows that young people are ready to take over the role of leadership in the political space. All right. Thank you so much, Deacon, for bringing us up to speed on that. We look forward to more engagement with you.
Thank you.
Well, that's it. There's been a whole lot happening across the world. Like we tell you, we always bring you stories from this particular point and bringing reporters' perspective for you to be guided on information happening around the world. And that's the size of it on the program, The Reporter. We hope you had an amazing time with us. We look forward to more of your viewership as we keep you abreast with all the information happening around the world. It's an amazing time. Thank you for staying with us. Don't forget that Global TV is on DSTV channel 365 and on Star Times channel 276. To always stay connected to us, kindly follow us across all our social media platforms now showing on your screen using that Global TV NG. Until the next time when we come your way, I am Annie Patrick. Have a lovely day ahead of you.
Be mindful of how we use social media. It's it's not just about the platforms themselves.
To the preservation of the national unity and democratic stability.
Water is life, water is an essential service that we must have to carry out the residents.
Local communities are not only vital to the growth of society, but they also form the bedrock of